Okay, so here's another game that I was playing for a while. Wow, it just spoiled it. Wonderful. Here's another game I was playing for a while that I beat before The Last Remnant, but I um, had neglected to make a video on it, and that video was on Final Fantasy X. So Final Fantasy X was a game that was made on the PS2, and they ended up porting it over to the PS4 as well as Nintendo Switch and PS3 at one point in time. So I'm basically playing this on the collection they released when they made the ports, being Final Fantasy X and X-2 collection. I actually have played some of X-2. I'll be making a video on that as well when I do finish that. But I completed 10, so I felt it was appropriate, along with me making the video of Last Remnant, that would be appropriate to do another Square Enix game. As you guys can see, I love Square Enix RPGs. But anyways, so Final Fantasy X is about Titus, that guy up there, or Titus, how some people say. I say Titus. So it's about Titus, this guy here, and how he lives in a place called Xanarkand, where he is a blitzball champion. Blitzball is kind of like mixing soccer and football in one, but it's underwater. So it's kind of like water polo, soccer, and football all in one. Really, really cool, actually. You actually get to play a cool video mini game that I'll show you a little bit of in the video. So basically, he's a star, and as far as it's made known to you, is his mom's gone, his dad's gone. So his dad was a huge star before he started. Huge blitzball star, and his name is Jet. So he hates Jet because Jet he felt like was never really a good close father to him. And he always had resentment towards him since he was little. He always felt like he was taking time away from him and his mother. So, let me just pause that there. So, long story short, one day he's, competing in the sport, and then disaster strikes, and this entity known as Sin comes and just starts wiping everything out. Then this man appears as they're being, sucked up into this vortex that this creature is leaving. And his name is Auron, and he takes him with him, and they ended up blasted into the future. So much so to the point to where if he even brings up the word Xanarkand of his home place, people don't believe him, because they're like, that was 1,000 years ago. That's not possible that you grew up in Xanarkand. So throughout the the duration, he meets different people, and comes to find out that Xanarkand is considered as a holy place, and the whole purpose of Sin and this whole pilgrimage that is a part of the mainline story that is conducted by a summoner. In this case, it would be Yuna, his love interest. So Yuna is the daughter of man, I forgot what the guy's name was, but she's the daughter of the first, not the first, one of the more prominent summoners that Orin tagged along with. So, man, I didn't realize how much it is to unpack. But anyways, so they're basically going on this pilgrimage to the different parts of Spira, because the whole place is known as Spira. It has, a lot of, water elements to it in this game. But the whole purpose is supposed to go to every place in Spira and pray at every spot, because Sin is coming and he wipes out everything in his path. And she prays and sends the spirits off to, the spirit plane that they're supposed to be in. They're not supposed to linger around, so she does the sending. And she also plays as the game's summoner. She could summon different creatures in the game. That you come to find out that those summons are actually people that were already sent. It was just concentrated into a summon or two. You also come to find out that the creatures you kill in the game are actually people that were not sent. People that stayed here and manifested into a creature. But anyway, so she's supposed to go on this pilgrimage to defeat Sin. Unfortunately, you do learn that it's actually impossible to defeat Sin. I'm really not spoiling anything for you. This is just known. It's actually impossible to defeat Sin. All they could really do is beat it temporarily, and then it comes back like many, many, many years later. So like, in the process of doing this, it's very trying and arduous, and someone like Yuna needs guardians. So that's where all these other characters come into place. That's where Titus comes into place. Waka, which Waka is also a blitzball player. He just plays for a really terrible blitzball team, but he tries his hardest, and he's a pretty funny. He's like a bro. He's a funny bro though. He has his own issues as well. Then there's Oron, which was with the Yuna's father when he was the summoner. Lulu, she was with a different summoner, so this is her second time around trying it. Then there's Riku. She is an Albed. So Albed they're like regular people. It's just they're like a different race of people, I guess you would describe. And I guess the best way to describe it is Waka has mixed emotions about the Albed, we'll say, and he has his reasons for why he does not like the Albed. So when they bring Riku into the group, they keep it, secret that she's Albed for quite some time, not to anger him. And you have Kamari. Kamari's awesome. He's a Ronso, and Ronso are like these giant cat people. They look really cool. Like I have to say, I really like the cat people. So, anyways, that's the whole gist of the story. So now we have HP, MP, hit points, magic points. For those of you that don't remember, you always have your hours that you've clocked in at the bottom left, as well as your gil. Here's the interesting part that makes this game different from all other Final Fantasy games, and different from most RPGs. So the S level is the sphere level, and I'm going to get into that in a second. And then you have all your items, your X potions, your ethers, your light gems, Arctic winds, all those things, for doing darkness, for doing silence, for doing water damage, lightning damage, all that kind of stuff. And then you have, these different little items you could use for reflect, shell, haste. Basically, all these items can be used to kind of take the place of magic, if you are short of magic. So then the spheres. One second about the spheres, because I'm trying to think as I'm talking to you about how I'm going to describe the spheres. So then you also have the key items, interesting thing about the key items, when you talk to the Al Bhed as the game goes on, you won't actually be able to understand what they're saying because they're speaking in a completely different language. So throughout the course of the game, if you're picking up these primers, which tell you, oh, letter C, letter A, letter E, G, if you collect all the primers when the Al Bhed talk, towards the end of the game, you could actually understand completely what they're saying. So that's a kind of a cool thing that they have. I did miss one primer. I was kind of pissed about that. Then there's also this other interesting part, because when you have an RPG, you have super ultimate weapons. So in this game, they're called celestial weapons, and it's not like any other RPG when you get ultimate weapons, because usually in RPG you have to do this one specific thing or a couple specific things and you get the item. There you go. Not in this game. In this game, you need the weapon, a crest, and a sigil. So see how I have the sun crest, sun sigil, and then I also have the weapon. And you combine all three of those things, you will get the weapon in its full form. Because if you only have the weapon, or you only have the weapon and the crest, you only get part of its power. And I'll get into weapons right now, actually. I think that's a good segue into weapons. So, weapons. How weapons work in this game. Weapons have ability slots. The most slots you can have for a weapon is 4 slots. And they'll have varying things from strength percentages to water attacks to sensors to break damage limit, which is really important in this game. Break damage limit being that the regular limit damage is 9,999. When you have break damage limit on, like I have for his weapon, it allows you to exceed that and go to 99,999 damage. So you add a whole nother 90,000 more on top of what the regular damage was. So that's enough to like off pretty much any enemy you come across outside of some of the secret bosses. There's also a triple AP, so you get more ability points as you battle. Overdrive 2 AP being that it takes your overdrive amount, which it's full here, takes your overdrive amount and converts it to AP. Triple overdrive, it means your overdrive just fills faster. Bait and counter, that's kind of self-explanatory. Magic counter, whenever you're hit with a magic attack, you hit them right back, so on and so forth. Same thing for armor. Notice that there's only one weapon slot, one armor slot. So in the armor slot, there's tons of different abilities. Auto potion, so you heal yourself whenever you get hit. Auto haste, you automatically go fast, like your turn comes faster. Plus defense, auto protect, so you automatically have defense on top of defense already. Break HP limit, you could go past the 9,999, go to 99,999 for HP. You don't need to do that, but you can. Curse proof, ribbon, so you can negate pretty much all status effects. That one's important. Auto regain is really good too. You get some HP after each turn. Fire eater, water eater, ice eater. Whenever they do those kind of elemental attacks to you, it won't hurt you at all. If anything, it'll heal you. So all that kind of stuff that you'll see for the armor and weapons is some of the stuff you want to have. You'll notice everyone, because I have their ultimate weapons, obviously. Calgablog for Titus. Those are the 4 things he gets. Now, mind you, these things are set in stone. Usually when you get regular weapons in the game and it has a free slot, it has to have a free slot, by the way. So one or more of these has to be empty. when you have weapons like that, as long as you have the proper materials, you could add abilities to it. And I'm going to show you that in a second. So then World Champion, he has different stuff. He has double AP. His Masamune, he has first strike, so he attacks first and counterattacks every time. See, and for perfect example, for hers, I have her ultimate weapon, but I do not have the sigil, I believe it was. Either the sigil or the crust, so it's not fully realized. See, hers, she has a Gillionaire, so she makes a shitload of money. Since she's kind of like a thief, she's like a mage, a black mage. He's like, kind of like a defender, kind of knight class. He's kind of like an archer. He's kind of like the base regular, how would I describe him? If I had to give him a job class name, he's like the base regular, like, not thief, but I don't know how to describe him. He's like a regular kind of job class. She's like a thief. He's like a blue mage. Blue mage being that he learns abilities from enemies, and then she's like a white mage, so on and so forth. So let me show you what I was talking about when it comes to customizing. So let's say we took this Genji shield. See, it has a free space here. So when you see that it's darking out, that means, hey, we don't have enough fire gems to make this, we can't make it. But when you see that it's light, it's like, okay, we have the fish scales needed. We'll end up using all of them, but we have the fish scales needed to make Water Ward, and then we can make it and put it there. Only problem is, when you do that, you cannot remove any of the customizations you make to an equipment, so make sure you get what you're looking for. And there's, tons of things here in order to get a lot of the items needed to make these things. No encounter is very important too. If you ever want to make sure that you can get through side quests uninhibited, please get no encounters. Break MP limit, not really important. Break HP, not really needed. Auto Phoenix, important. Auto Med is kind of important. Master Thief, yeah. Pickpocket, improves odds of stealing rare items. And Ribbon, like I stated. So that's basically how that works. You'll notice that you could change the formation. You can only have 3 party members in a battle at a time. However, during battle, you could switch party members in and out at your leisure, and it won't take up a turn. So that's a really cool thing they do in this game. You'll notice the stats here. As stats, the highest you can make it is 255. So I pretty much did that for everything except for luck and magic. So the most important stats to max out: strength, defense, magic defense, agility, evasion, accuracy. Those are the most important ones. And if you decide to fight the super bosses in this game, a lot of the Dark Aeons and Penance and Nemesis and Omega Weapon, things like that, you're going to need max stats. Otherwise, they will murder you without any care. You can also take a look at all your auto abilities here. You can take a look at all your skills that you've gotten from the Sphere Grid. I'm leaving the Sphere Grid last, by the way, on purpose, so I didn't forget about it. All the special abilities, the white magic, all the black magic. You'll notice that this as well, that the sphere level does not exceed 99, and that's for a reason. Now when it comes to overdrives, everyone has a different amount of overdrives. So he has 4: Spiral Cut, Slice and Dice, Energy Rain, Blitz Ace. So for the most part, when it comes to him learning them, all he has to do is keep doing them and keep, killing the creatures continuously, and eventually he'll get the next one. They don't really level up individually. It's just you get them and you can use them from now on whenever you decide to use an overdrive. Um, there are certain overdrives that you need to do some long, arduous things to get, a la Waka. Like, because his base one is element reels, which he uses, and it's like this little slot machine. I'll show you that. Allows him to use like put fire on his blitz ball. He attacks people with blitz ball. Just work with me here. He puts fire, puts ice, puts lightning, whatever. So in order to get attack reels, which is probably one of the most strongest overdrives in the game, I highly recommend it. Status reels, not that important, but still strong. Aurochs reels, pretty strong. In order to get some of those things, you must play blitzball for a long time. Blitzball is fun, don't get me wrong, but after playing it as long as I did, damn did it get tedious. Anyways, tedious. And then you have people like Oron. In order for him to get more of his stuff, he has to collect jet spheres, which are these little spheres that you could collect around the world that show you past events of Jet as well as Yuna's father and Oron's adventures together, like small little snippets of it. It's kind of nice. Lulu, she just gets them as she learns, her different black magic spells. Riku, hers, she likes to combine things a lot, so you'll learn a lot of the stuff that way. As you can see, I hardly used her. I'm gonna be honest with you, the main people I started to use after a while is really just Titus, Waka, and Oron. Those are the people I really used. I tried to keep it balanced at first, but then I kind of switched after a while. And you'll see why. Kamari, like I said, he learns his through certain enemies that have these abilities. All he would have to do is use this move called Lance It, and he takes it straight from them. Certain ones, like Nova, you can only get through fighting a certain creature like Omega Weapon, and I think only one other enemy does it. So if you're gonna get it, be sure you have Kamari in. Otherwise you'll miss it. Yuna, she gets her summons either through the main storyline, like these 5, or through side quests like these last 3. And then now I'm going to show you this other thing. So we have overdrive modes. So overdrive modes dictate how your overdrive will fill up. So Stoic charges when character takes damage, charges when allies take damage, Tactician, Status Attack. You get these different modes based on how you're playing. So charge when the enemy takes damage, Healer, Victim, Slayer, Rook. It all says it, to the top of the screen there of what they all do. Now you'll see that in certain fights you may need to change how you're gonna fill up your gauge, because in certain fights, it may be that the enemy's really strong, so you need to pump out the overdrives as much as possible, getting all the damage. So you gotta be mindful of that. Aeons. These are the things that are considered the summons in the game, and again, these are the things that are comprised of people that were sent, that were killed and sent by a summoner. So we got Valifor, we got Ifrit, Ixion. Valifor is like a bird, Ifrit's like a beast. I don't really know how else to describe him, like a dog beast. Ixion is like a pony. Shiva is like, she just looks like a girl, honestly. Bahamut's a dragon. Anima is like this weird demon looking thing. Yojimbo is like this really cool samurai. He's probably one of my favorite looking summons I've ever seen. Cindy, Sandy, and Mindy, those are the Magus sisters. They basically look like insects, and yeah, they were a pain in the ass to get. Let me just say, they were not fun to get. So anyways, later on in the game, you are actually able, except for Yojimbo, Cindy, Sandy, and Mindy, when it comes to abilities, you are actually able to teach them abilities based on, again, if you have the proper materials, you could teach it to them. I personally didn't bother doing it, but if you want to, be my guest. Then you could actually take some of your items as well, and you could increase their stats little bit by little bit. Again, you would need the proper, materials to do it, but you can do it. I didn't do it, but, be my guest if that's really something you want to do. What else? Actually, let's. Oh yeah, and the location's always down there. Let's show you the sphere grid. So this is really crazy. It's gonna be a little difficult for me to describe this to you without you getting confused, but I'll try my best. So essentially, this entire ridiculous grid is your sphere grid. This sphere grid is central to everything. So, case in point, in order to activate a node, so a node would be, any of these circles here. In order to activate a node, you would need a Lux sphere. However, Lux spheres are a little hard to come by, and you do need to do certain things, and look for certain things in order to find Lux sphere. There's actually a side quest you can do with the monster arena that's very important that I'm gonna show you guys. That will net you a lot of quick spheres towards the end of the game. Anyways, so I'll explain it this way. So we got the power spheres, which activate strength, defense, or HP nodes. All the H's you'll notice are HP. Hold on, are HP. So it usually increases them by 300 or so. Then you'll find ones like this that raise agility by 1 to 2 points. Those are defense nodes. Those are strength nodes, which are like attack nodes, raise your attack. Then you got the MP ones, which usually do 20. Then you got the accuracy ones, which look like a bullseye. You got the luck nodes. And the big ones, the really big ones, are usually abilities. So like cheer, or flee, or extract speed, haste, all those kind of things. So in order for you to move, because you can only move through the grid when you build up sphere levels. That's why you fight in battles, to build up sphere levels, so you can move freely as much or as little as you want. So when you decide to move, it'll light up and see the numbers going down. So technically it's so high that I can decide to go all the way over here and I still have plenty. So I'll show you real quick just what it looks like when it moves. And the reticle will move me over there. It'll ask me if I want to move there. I can say yes or no. If I say no, it goes right back. So anyways, you can move it, and when you move it over, then it'll ask you move or use. Click use. Say, hey, I want to use the power sphere. You'll notice that if it's already used, if the node's already used, or if that's not for that specific node, it will be grayed out. So power sphere, mana sphere, ability node, fortune node, activates luck nodes. You got special spheres, activate special nodes already used by an ally. That's another interesting part about this. Skill node already activates a node already used by an ally. White used by an ally. Black used by an ally. Activates any ability or attribute node. Master spheres. Key spheres. So key spheres are really important. You're not going to see any over here. Let me switch over to someone that still has them. Actually, no one has them. Okay, so there are these spheres that are like little black locks, and it'll say like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and obviously level 4 are the hardest key spheres to come by. But you break those. They initially have them there just to keep you on a straight path, because everyone has their own set area that they start in of the map, or of the grid I should say. So once you start breaking those, you could branch off into learning others' abilities, which is why you see these colors here. So the light blue one is Titus, the red one is Oron, the yellow one is Waka. Actually no, the orange is Waka. Wait, so light blue, sorry, light blue Titus, Waka's the yellow, Oron's the red, Lulu's the purple, Riku's the green, Gamari is the kind of like dark blue, and Yuna is like this really light, yeah, I would say this really light blue. So that's what those colors mean. If they're lit up, that means that more than one person has been through that node, which, you know, comes in handy if you're out of, you know, let's say you're out of, you know, mana spheres or what have you, then that's where these, you know, yellow spheres come in handy. I personally didn't find the need to use too many of them. Really the spheres that you'll really be clamoring for after a while is the fortune spheres, once you start to like really try to master the spheres. Ability spheres, and the key spheres. Those are the ones that'll be, you know, difficult. Ooh, these are interesting too. Return spheres. Return to any previously activated node. So no matter where on the map you could return to that node again, as long as you have the sphere level to allow for you to go back there, but it allows you to return to any node you previously activated. So if you don't feel like using up all the sphere moves to move all the way back to, I don't know, let's say I wanted to move all the way back to here because I have, fortune nodes to use on these luck spheres, instead of using the sphere levels, I would just use the return sphere and it would return me right there, no problem. Then we also have the friend sphere, move to any ally's location, and warp sphere, move to any node. So those you know for sure are rare. Another really cool thing about this grid is everyone is technically on this grid. See everyone's name. Waka and Oron are there, Titus is there, Lulu's there, Kamari's there, Riku's there, Yuna's there. Everyone shares the same grid. The grid expands as you open it up, through the key spheres and learning different spheres in general. You also notice that some of them are black like that. When the node is empty, you could technically place any node there you want. So you could place, well, not any node, but you could place any any node there. So you could put a strength one there, you could put an HP one there, you could put an MP, defense, accuracy. I don't think you could put ability, but pretty much any of the stat ones you could place there. And as long as you have the sphere to put there, then perfect. They did recommend to me when I was playing to make sure you go across. So instead of just deciding, oh, I'm just gonna go straight here, they always recommend to go over, you know, each node, so you're able to return to it. Because if you don't go over it and have this, you know, the corresponding color follow you, it won't allow you to go back unless you use one of the special spheres. Hope that made sense. I tried my best to describe the spheres as best I could. Point is, everyone can use them, and the spheres is how you get your characters better. So, all that described, now I can, you know, get into the other little details. So here's the save sphere, where you could save, you could board the airship that you get later on in the game, you could play blitzball. Now keep in mind, you won't get that ability to do that till later, because at first the save sphere is just for saving. As you can see, there's different levels to the airship. People cited this game for being very linear. Oh yeah, the Albed completion sphere. Basically, it allows you to synthesize a new Albed primer by taking it from previous saves. Since I don't have a previous save, you know, you won't be able to do that. Being that if I decided to start a new game, I can take all the primers from the previous save file and just transfer it over, so then all I have to do is worry about getting the one I missed. So that one's pretty cool. When it comes to vendors, they'll usually sell you weapons and items. Some of them will be highly overpriced, like from him, it's ridiculously priced. If you are going to buy, especially armored ones, get the ones that say Tetra. Or anytime you're out fighting and you see anything that says Tetra anything, pick it up, because it has four empty slots usually. Maybe one of them's taken up, but usually has 4 empty slots, so you can use it and turn it into whatever you want. Usually
your patronage is very much appreciated.
Usually when you start adding things to it, the name of it will change. So if it started out as Bronze Shield, because I added certain abilities to it, now it's Shaman Shield, or Shaman Arm Guard, Shaman Bracer, Fairy Bangle, Atlas, Tetra Armlet, Rings, you know, all that kind of stuff. You also notice these little boards here too, that basically just, if you're ever confused or don't remember how things work, you could always look at the customizing equipment, opening lock on sphere grid, using sphere grid, basic controls, and it teaches you all that stuff. Now what I'll do is I'll take you guys to some of the areas. So you can see some of the different areas. So when you get a ship, you can do 3 different options. So you could input a name. You're going to want to do that. You're going to want to input a name when you're ready to look for some of the endgame dungeons. You could also search for it in a certain coordinates. That'll be stuff you look up online to find out what it is. And then there's lists. So then list has, you know, all the different areas you've been to in the game, a whole bunch of different areas. We'll take you to Besaid Island. So every area, you know, looks different. You know, has its people there. It's not like Last Remnant, to where, you know, people have like little thought bubbles over their head, and that's how you get side quests. Side quests are carried out through finding certain areas. It's not really any one specifically you have to talk to per se. It's about finding certain areas. Sometimes you do have to talk to someone specific, but usually it's just finding new areas. There are random encounters in this game, unlike Last Remnant where it was just, on the field. So there are random encounters. The glass will break whenever there's a random encounter, so we got ambushed. So you'll notice here on the right, that's the turns. Oh, whoops. That's the turn list. So it says, okay, Oron's gonna go, but then it's Monster A and Monster B's turn, and then it's Titus's turn, then it's Oron's turn, Waka's, so on and so forth. Now you can manipulate that when you have auto haste, or if you decide to decrease their speed, you can manipulate and play with that a little bit. You'll notice that the overdrives are ready. So I can just click left, I can click Bushido, and I can pick whatever I want to use. Or I could decide to regular attack. See, I can pick either A or B, or I could attack my guy if, maybe he's causing too much ruckus and I need to kill him. So, overkill, I did over the damage limit, so that's why it would be called overkill instead of just a regular kill. So I'll show you some of the skill stuff. So some of the skill stuff would be like delay attack. Delay attack is pretty useful in the beginning because it allows you to put their turns further down. See, I got some gil, I got some power and mana spheres. You get different spheres from different enemies. Then you also have flee to escape from a fight. You have cheer. Considering this is a PS2 game, and I have to say it still looks pretty good. You have the black magic. You have white magic. Stuff like this is kind of important. The null attacks, because it allows you to block at least one water magic at a time. Then you got stuff like haste, you got stuff like full life, revive a KO'd character and fully restore HP, sloga, holy, auto life is very important. Dispel, in case they put on a buff, you want to take it off. So now I'll show you just some. So for him, his overdrives work in button combinations. Everyone's overdrives require you to do different things. Orons are always button inputs, and you have a certain time limit before he won't do it. Or actually no, he'll do it, it just won't be as strong. So you have a certain time limit to put all in the combinations before it runs out, the timer runs out. Also, chests look like that usually. So when you find chests, they'll often look like that. Sometimes you'll find these around that actually have Albed language on it. And see, I have all the primers needed to read it, which says Kilika and Banko join as one. And then I don't know, personally for me, I didn't really have the same feelings a lot of people had towards this game, which was they felt like it was the places were too linear, they were too straightforward, but I felt like that was the game's way of kind of, you know, putting in perspective just how a spiritual journey is, such as this, where you have to keep moving forward, you have to progress. There's not too much time to, lag behind. But anyways, so now I'm gonna show you how to switch people out, which, see, I could switch anyone in that I want. So let's say I want to switch Yuna. So then now I can do a summon or a grand summon. Grand summon being it's the same thing, it's just instead it'll be more powerful. So I'll show you guys. Oh, also, when you use a grand summon, when you bring them out, even if they don't have full overdrive, like none of them have right now, they'll automatically have it when you bring it out. So let's bring out the Crit. And usually the animation would be longer, but I put it on arranged animation, so the animation is shorter. So let's go ahead and use his super just so you can see it. You can play with those kind of things in config. Cool thing is you could also change the music to original. How it was in the PS2 version, where you change it to arrange. Subtitles on and off, things on and off. Aeons default or short. Put it on default just so you guys can see some more of the Aeons. I'll probably show you guys like 2 more places, and then I'll call it there. Go ahead and show you some of his stuff. So Titus, for his work that way, to where you have like a little gauge, and when the reticle hits it, you're supposed to hit it. And attack wheels, I'll show you his. So the goal is to get it at 2. You know how many times, how nerve-wracking that is when you're fighting a really hard boss and you're trying to get it at 2 hit. It's just look at the ridiculous amount of damage it does. Ridiculous. I think that's like 12 hits, if I'm not mistaken. That's why you want attack reels. That's why you want it. Show you L4. L4 is like the first summon you get in the game. He's pretty cool.
Please lend us your strength.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing I forgot to mention too. When you have the sensor on, it'll obviously you can't censor everything, but when you have the sensor on, it'll tell you I don't know if you guys saw it. Probably have to bring it back up, but when you have the sensor on, it'll tell you what magic works against that enemy. It'll tell you what magic will amplify the damage. It'll tell you what magic will only do half damage. It'll tell you what magic that won't do anything to him, maybe even heal him.
We're counting up.
So sensors are, kind of important for those kind of things. Okay, so let's take you to Jose High Road. Also, when you go to these different areas, as you go on pilgrimage, every area will have its different temple that you have to go to solve um, these puzzles. With some of the puzzles are actually kind of cool and interesting, and some of them are annoying, for lack of a better word. They're just annoying and kind of slow the game down a little too much for my taste. Let's see, who else will I show you? I'll show you Ixion too. Then after this, I'll go ahead and, since we're kind of running up on time here, I'll go ahead and show you a blitzball match, just so you can kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about here. In some places, the encounter rate can be kind of high. Oh, also keep in mind, which I didn't know until a little later into the game, in order for someone in the party to receive AP points, they must be in the fight, first and foremost, and they must do some sort of action. So even if they're not attacking, they have to defend, they have to heal someone in order to receive credit for being in the fight. So keep that in mind, because I didn't know that for most of the time. Alright, so, whoops. So let's show you Blitzball, and then, so here's Blitzball. So Blitzball, the main thing you'll want to do is look up some of the better teammates you can get in Blitzball, like I did, because if you stay with the guys they gave you, it's gonna be really hard, because the teams you're going against are already established and they already, have their people, and it's cool because you actually manage a team on Blitzball. So you put people on contracts, like you put them on a 28 game contract for 2,000 gil, or 15 or a 30, and people go into free agency actually. So it's actually kind of realistic in that way. So they have the league. The league is which one was it? Because I know exhibition, you don't earn any prizes and it's just for practice. Then there's tutorial, then there's your team data of all the people you have. So I got wedge, so you got your health, you got your energy. Energy is basically your defense, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Passing, how far you could pass the ball, and how much durability the ball has if the ball's tipped by someone. Your shot, how powerful your shot is, your attack, how strong your attack is when you attack other people to get the ball, your block, how strong your block is, your catch, and your speed. And then you have key techniques that you can learn by marking people on the opposite team to be like, okay, I want you to guard Jacob, because Jacob knows nap tackle, and I would want you to learn that, so then you put that in, and everyone levels up depending on how much you use them and everything. I definitely have to say I recommend getting wedge, getting Waka's on a really cheap deal. Wedge I think gets a little pricey. Get brother, get Sponda. Kuyu is really good. Keepa was a pretty good goalie. He gets good. Just be patient with him and use. And then Titus is also there, and Zolitz is good as well. If I remember correctly, the tournament is something you get into, and you do, I think, three or four matches, and then if you get to the end and you win, you get the first prize. If you lose at championship, you get second prize, so on and so forth. And there's also a prize for top scorer. The prizes always change when you go to different tournaments. In order to get those reels that I was talking about for Waka, you're going to have to play the tournament and the leagues many times, because you may want the attack reel, but the attack reel didn't show up this time. Alright, well, you have to complete this league. And then you go back, like, oh man, it didn't show up again, still got to do it. The one that gets really tiresome is the league, because the league you have to win 10 matches, and that can get tiresome after a while. So I'll go ahead and show you the tournament so you can see what I'm talking about. And the team we are is the Visay Aurochs, so we're gonna go against Kilika Beast. So then now you're gonna pick who's gonna be on left field, right field, midfield, left defense, right defense, and then goalie. So Wedge, Waka, Brother, Svanda, Koyu, Keepa. Proceed. Then you could set their techniques based upon what they have. Spin ball is just like a special kind of ball. You got wither shot, you got nap tackle. And then you can always put new things. Like I said, as you level this person up and keep them in, they can learn up to, I think, 4 to 5 slots. You know, they could get really good real fast. And then you could set marks, like if they can learn it, it'll be lit up in the bottom left there. Like he could learn spear shot, he could learn volley shot too, you know, and so on and so forth. So we're not gonna mark. I don't want to show you guys this. So then Brother catches the ball. Now you can choose to act by yourself or have computer do it. I always recommend do it yourself. So now that guy was behind me, now I can decide no break or break to Dotto. So I'm gonna break. I could either pass, shoot, or dribble. If I dribble past him, the stats are right here. So if I dribble past him and he attacks me, I'll be fine because he's weak. If I decide to shoot, he won't be able to catch it, but he'll block it a little bit. If I decide to pass, he'll tap it and, you know, make the number go down, but it'll be fine. So let's say I decide to pass. So he hit me, fine. And let's say I decide to pass the Waka. So the number's going down, number's going down, number's going down. Waka catches it, he goes. The closer you get to the goal, the better, because some goalies are really good. So we're going to break out Romp, and I'm going to have him shoot. And I'm going to have him shoot a nap shot. Sometimes when you hit goalies with these shots, nap shot will actually make him go to sleep, possibly, which is really good because that means you could score on him and he won't be able to do anything. Sucks when it's done to you, but you can do it to him. Wither is really good too because it allows, see, he's doing wither tackle on me. So wither, it halves my energy, so it's harder for me to, you know, get past people now that wither's been done to me. Now I can do wither to him. And his attack's really high, so, you know, he was going to be able to get past him anyways. Now, I will tell you, there are times where there's some straight up bullshit going on, and the numbers are in your favor, and some bullshit still happens. Sometimes. It's just like that. So then, we're going to decide to shoot, and we're going to shoot an invisible shot. See, she caught it. Guys back out. Sometimes your guys catch it. See, like that, like BS like that, like when they're not in the circle, but yet they still touch you somehow. I never understood that, but sometimes that happens. And she has super goalie on, so the numbers are crunching, and see, sometimes stuff like that happens, where the number was in her favor, 33 catch, I had 32 shot, and it still went through. If I remember correctly, I think each quarter is 5 minutes, and there's only two, well, not quarter, each half is 5 minutes, and there's only 2 halves, so each game runs you around like 10 minutes, give or take. Now you can, get into, and more than one person can get on you and it'll make it harder. You can get into, formations and, change up, make halftime adjustments. If you felt like you guys were really getting creamed out there, you could make adjustments, change formations. I didn't really get into formations. I just said I will let the stats, dictate how we do. And for the most part, that would work because I had a defensive team, and I had two wings that were good at shooting. I had one really good one and a decent one. So he just poisoned me. That affects my HP. She's using super goalie again. Wasn't in her favor. Now there is no mercy rule, so you could run up the scoreboard all you want. Anyways, let me close that and re-enter because I don't want to finish it just playing that the whole time. So, for the most part, that's Final Fantasy X in a nutshell. Oh yeah, and this comes with the remastered. Eternal Calm is the thing you would watch after you beat the game. Then there's 10-2 and 10-2 last mission, something you do after. So anyways, that's Final Fantasy X in a nutshell. It's a very good starting point if you want to get into JRPGs. It's not very difficult. It's actually pretty easy. The only thing that makes it hard is when you start trying to do some of the side quests, some of the mini games that are maddening, like the Chocobo mini games are really hard. Chocobo are like these giant, yellow birds. Some of the Chocobo video games are maddening, and some of the quests in order to fight, the uber super bosses, like I said, are super hard. So it is a very easy game on the surface. It is a very good RPG. So if you ever want to know what RPG can I play that's not overly complicated, but not way too easy, I would say this is a pretty good starting point. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.